What's up, y'all? Today we're going to be working on the old 65. We got a little bit of work to do over here, grinding some welds down, and then we're going to work on the carburetor because for whatever reason this car is not responsive when you open up the four barrel. It's got a little stumble, and it could be squirter size. We don't know just yet, but I'll probably pull the carburetor off and we'll work on that. So that's what we got going on today. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Got most of these little holes welded in right here, and we're not striving for perfection. We know there's a couple little low spots right here, but all this should seal up just fine. We're going to come in with some chassis saver once we grind this out and clean it up. There's some welds over here that are pretty high. I mean, they would probably be okay, but we at least need to knock some of that off. And that's it. So today what we want to do is put the gasket in this thing so that we can drive the car around a little bit and work on the carburetor. So those two things will allow us to put the car on the road, go play with it, and kind of see how this car feels. One of the main reasons we kept the 289 in it was to relive those old glory days, if you will. See how this car stacks up to some of the new stuff. There again, it's not going to do but so much. It's just basically a 289 with a set of heads, and they're like a factory head. I don't even know what heads these are, to be honest with you. I have no clue. I think they're probably like a DOOE head or something like that with some work done to them, 202 valves. It's got a little small cam, but it does have some compression, or it's supposed to anyway. We don't know exactly how much. So point is, yeah. So the point is we just want to see what this thing can do the way it is. It may not be impressive at all anymore, or it still may be. Who knows? All right, so we're going to get to work grinding some of this stuff out, sealing this up, and we'll get back to you in just a second. Let's take some of this chassis saver up here, because I always preach this to you guys, and I think I showed it in the last video maybe, but if you'll put your chassis saver or POR 15, POR 15 in one of these, they work great. This chassis saver does not give a shit. It'll stick to pretty much anything. All right, just take this stuff, pour it in. I need a brush, but we don't have one, so I'm just going to use an old rag. I want y'all to really look at this stuff. Look how good it lays. I mean, this is some bad right here, guys. Y'all need to get you some of this. Little pinholes and things like that, it'll seal that up as well. So not only will rust not form when it's on there, it'll also kill and stop any of the rust that's already there. I feel good about that. I would rather it come all the way out, you know, to the edge. That way everything in here is sealed up from rust. But just know that once you get this on something, it's not coming off unless you sand it pretty much. All right, so we're going to move up to the carburetor. Not much really to show you here. We're just going to pull this thing off, get it on the bench over here and look at it and see if we can figure out where the stumble's coming from. Also, if you look over here, you can tell where the sight glasses broke off. These are these cheap ones. I think they were Moroso. They come off Amazon. Yeah, and like I told y'all before, like the reviews told me to stay away from it. Everybody's like, no, they're junk, they break off. I'm like, surely they don't. Oh yeah, they did. So let's get the carburetor off, get it over here, check it out. I suspect we're not gonna see anything wrong in the carburetor, but it's worth taking a look at just to see. So first things first, we're gonna take the fuel log off. Insert from the sight glass is actually melted. Do y'all see that? Look in there. See that shit hanging off? That's from the sight glass. Look at this. What? All right, so I'm curious as to what jets we have. So it does have jet extensions. That's good. And these are 76s in the rear. Man, yeah, everything is gonna stick on this carburetor. These non-stick gaskets are junk. Look at this. Non-stick my. So there's not even a provision for a power valve in the back of this thing. I know everybody's screaming at me saying, hey man, pull the plugs and check them, but this car has just been started and ran for a second and cut off and started, and you can't really check plugs that way. I mean, you can, but you don't know where that's coming from. If the car's sitting there idling and it's so rich, it's going to foul the plugs out, and you go changing things that don't need to be changed. The car really needs to be run like old school way of doing it is to run the car down the road, open it up, and then shut the car down. Pull over and pull a plug. That's the way you should do it, because anything else could give you a false reading. All right, any guess on the front? I would say 68 to 72s. 70s. So 70s in the front. And a 5.5 power valve. So that's going to come in pretty late. So we may need to change that power valve out to one that'll open up a little sooner. All right, so let me look through this thing. We'll get it all cleaned up and we'll see if we can find any problems. Probably not, but either way, I'll get back to you guys in just a second. Andrew, what's that? What's that over there? So Andrew's got his new wheels in, y'all. He's gonna test fit the front wheel today just to make sure everything clears before he gets his tires put on. So next week sometime he should have these wheels on the car, and I think it's gonna look really good. I wasn't a fan of the full polish, but I mean, they'll look good. And he does have black bead locks for the back, so the ring is gonna set it off. So I think it's gonna look sick as hell, y'all. But I'm gonna jump back on this. This phone keeps cutting off because of the heat. So everything is sticking. I'm constantly, check this out. Yeah, that's the damn sight glasses. You ever seen anything like that? Something that you're supposed to put in there that's supposed to be around gas. Yeah. Anyway, so there's that. We're gonna clean this thing up, go through it real quick. As you can see, it's pretty dirty, but I don't really expect any major changes with this car, to be honest with you, with the way it runs, because we don't have anything any different. I mean, we could change jets, but the jets really aren't gonna matter as far as the stumble goes. No, not as far as the stumble goes. So we'll see. I do have a different power valve. It's got a 5.5. I'm probably gonna put probably a 6.5 in it or whatever I've got. Let's see. This is a 6.5, so yeah, it'll come in a little quicker, so we may just use that. I gotta get never go and hit my damn little sneak peek.
It looks so stupid without a tire on.
Yeah. All right, so this phone's giving me a damn fit, y'all. I probably lost a lot of footage already. It's the heat. It's so hot out here. So let me set this phone. I'm probably just gonna put it in the refrigerator for a little while, and I'll get it back out in a few minutes and we'll record what we got done to the carburetor. So here's what we did. The back squirter, I drilled out, it was 28 thousandths. I measured it out, and the diameter of the hole was 28 thousandths. So I went in with a 31 thousandths drill bit and drilled the back squirter out. Now I know you can replace these, and I'm all for that. So if this doesn't work, then that's what we'll do. We'll replace it and put some different squirters on the car. But for now, that's it. That's all we did. And then I put a 6.5 power valve in the front over a 5.5. And in the rear, it had a block off. It's not even set up for a power valve in the rear. And the jets there again are 70, 76s, so that should be pretty good. If anything, maybe a little rich. So I feel good about that. Let's go ahead and stick it back on the car. Oh, Andrew, they didn't appreciate you flipping them off in the last video.
No, I wasn't.
That wasn't you?
I was that AI shit.
Oh, it was some AI? It was pretty bad. You talking about the stumble?
Yeah, I can't remember.
I mean, it kind of would come and go. If you hit it just right, if you bring the RPMs up and then blip it, it usually did okay. That's carbureted stuff, man. Y'all don't know nothing about that. That's called a carburetor clamp.
I believe it.
Yeah, it is. They used to sell them back in the day. They were real popular back in the 70s and 80s, but now y'all young bucks don't know nothing about that. All right, we're gonna let it warm up a little bit. It seemed worse, but it's cold. So I'm gonna let the car warm up a little bit, and then we'll check our transition into the back barrels and just see. Well, all right, y'all. Got the carburetor back on the car and everything seems to be doing pretty good. The car is better. It's more responsive than what it was. It's still not perfect, but I think we're gonna have to change the squirters out. So that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. Car's running really good now. It's a touch rich, I can smell it back here. The car idles really good now and it seems to run good. So that will allow us to start driving the car once we get the back glass in it. So that's kind of what we're trying to do right now. But stay tuned, guys. I'm not giving up on the 65. I was talking with Papa T a couple of days ago and we're gonna get ready to start doing some body work on this thing here real soon. We are gonna mix up the content between the Poop Coupe and the 65. But anyway, we're gonna throw this back glass in the car. Whichever way I pull, just push down on the windshield, on the glass, and it'll go. Should start to sink down. Back glass is in the old 65. It's sealed up, but it's not permanent. We're not leaving it. It'll come out eventually because it'll help us out when we start doing interior to have the back glass out. But now we can drive the car up and down the road, test it, make sure everything's good. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. And as always,
Thanks for watching.
you didn't shoot him a bird this time, Andrew?